Hi, this is Mark Richards, creator of CandidatesChair.com. Thanks for visiting the site and welcome to this free webinar on the 12 expectations for job search. This webinar helps set expectations for anyone that's just starting a search to see what's ahead of you, or for anyone that's currently in a search to help tune up the expectations that you currently have. The expectations that you hold about job search can either propel you through a rough spot or slow you down. We build our expectations from our work, our home, and our experience through life. In particular, how people should interact with one another, proper manners, and most importantly, our sense of our own skills and contribution for what we can add to a company. However, what you believe and what is needed for search may not always coincide, and having accurate expectations of what you'll encounter when you get into job search will really help lower your frustration. Believe me, there's plenty of things to frustrate you, so no need piling on yourself. To help set your expectations, in addition to this webinar, I would really encourage you to go out and meet with fellow candidates and get their current view of search. To get a well-rounded view, always get multiple opinions. Also, if they've run into something that's frustrated them, figure out what their solution was, because for every problem, there is a solution. The 12 expectations I'll present here are really a starting point. In fact, the 12 expectations for job search was the very first post for the Candidates Chair because it really established the foundation to build upon. And for yourself, it's the same. This is a starting point. What you'll encounter will be different between country, profession, and industry. Again, proper expectations will help you remain effective and efficient. You're going to have downtime because you're frustrated. The key is to limit the amount of time that you're down. Your most valuable resource in search is time. I know that sounds funny because you feel like you've got so much of it, in particular when you're waiting for someone to call you back. Think of every hour in your search as a potential investment in your future, and the time lost is a lost opportunity to move your search forward. Again, we'll all have lost time. The trick is to try and minimize it. Let's start talking about expectations. Number 1, get ready to meet people. If you begin working a plan to network and you walk into meetings well prepared, you're going to walk out, on average, 2 to 3 additional people you can contact. And before you know it, you're going to quickly reach 100 people. What you'll also realize that you'll be able to do quickly is feel comfortable walking up to someone you have no idea who they are in a coffee shop and asking them, say, are you Wyatt? Are you Ella? Are you Shelley? Or whoever, but you'll get mighty comfortable doing that. Number 2, not everyone networks. For many people, networking is a low priority, primarily because they're just so busy at work. But the other big reason is that many people don't know how to network very well, so they simply avoid it. Now, those people may be very good for you to meet. The first expectation you need to set here is that you need to be persistent. I always say it was curiosity, not persistence, that killed the cat. So if you don't get a response right away, keep at them. The other important part here is that you want to help them to help you. What this is all about is making networking with you as easy as possible. You want to walk into a meeting and be very clear what you want to get out of that meeting, what you're seeking, the types of connections you're looking for, and you can help them with things like your resume, a marketing plan, which tells them specifically the role you want, the city, the industry, etc., a targeted company list, which gives them names of companies, people that you want to meet, industries. These are items that will really help you get the most out of that meeting and help them help you. If you don't have a marketing plan or a targeted company list, if you look under Tools on our Candidates Chair, you'll find them there as well. Number 3, the value of your networking extends beyond yourself. For people that are in full-time jobs, they're not out networking. So when you meet with them, there's 2 things that can happen. First, you can teach them the latest techniques about networking. Whether it's social media or how to write a good email or whatever it is, you can help them because they're not out actively practicing networking on a daily basis like you are. It's a pretty good chance that you're going to bring something to offer in terms of a connection. If you study who they are or during the meeting, listen, it's pretty likely you'll have a connection that might be of interest to them. So never go with your hat in your hand, because even if you walk away and just teach them a few things about how to use social media or other networking techniques, that's a win for them and a win for you. Number 4, welcome to the sales department. If I made a big mistake in my first search, it wasn't thinking and acting like a rainmaker from the minute I started. A search is really a sale of what you bring. And when I say that, it's what do you bring to the company in terms of increasing their revenues or lowering costs or whatever? What need do you fulfill? And so what I would encourage you to do is adopt the practices of a rainmaker. To get myself started, I used Jeffrey Fox's book, How to Become a Rainmaker. It was simple and in plain language, so a non-salesperson like myself could understand it. Number 5, 80% network, 20% recruiter. 80% of the jobs come through networking. While I never encourage you to ignore recruiters because it's very easy to get into their databases and you want to be there, even if a recruiter has a job, you're still going to use your network to get inside that company. Your network will help you not only hear about opportunities, but more importantly, before you get there, it helps understand the company's practices, how they do business, how they hire people, what's their culture. And what you want to do in networking is really dedicate your time to making sure you get to the right contacts. People that have influence with the hiring manager or can get you in front of that hiring manager or teach you about that hiring manager. Number 6, the continuing stigma of being in transition. And here's the deal. Every resume looks good. If I look at 2 resumes, I cannot tell who is in transition because they didn't have a choice and who is in transition because they deserve to be in transition. And with 90% plus of the people currently being employed, it's easy for employers to avoid risk and go with someone that's currently working over someone who's in transition. And this is where your network really comes to play. They can help promote you into that company, or they can make referrals, in particular very public ones like references on your LinkedIn profile that help a company see past your being in transition and give you a serious look for a position. Number 7, expect the reject. If you were to reach out to someone and you had no prior connection with them, you would not be surprised if they did not agree to network with you. But here's the interesting part. No matter how strong of a connection you have, they still may not respond. And I say this because it's important that you realize it's not personal, because there's so many things that are outside of your control. And I'll give you a perfect example. I met with a board member who gave me the contact information for the president. Between the time I got that contact information and reached out to the president, the company had received an unsolicited offer to get purchased. Not surprisingly, the president never responded back to my request to network. When you reach out to someone, there are so many things that are outside your control. They may have just landed a new client, or they may have lost a client. They may be in the middle of a restructuring. There's 1,000 reasons. Just think about all the fire drills that you've worked through during your career. And chances are, if someone reached out to you during that time, you probably didn't respond back quickly. Your best bet is to just be professional and persistent. If you reach out 3 times and someone doesn't respond, time to move on. Number 8, it's all you. You always want to have full control of your search. You can always ask for help, but you want to manage that help. You want to plan, schedule, meet, do it all over again. I guess the best way to put it is that at no time do you want to put your future into someone else's hands, because your hands are completely capable of managing it. Number 9, things we forget. And in short, we forget to be short. All of us, myself included, are guilty of over-communicating. We try and pack as much as we can into a resume, an email, a pitch, doesn't matter, in the hopes that the more we give them, something will get latched onto. But the reality is that no matter what the delivery vehicle, people will remember 2 to 3 things. So our job is to try and find the 2 or 3 things that are the most compelling, that'll get those people to ask us for more. So your communication mantra needs to be more information, less data. Number 10, the 100-day network wall. If you're just starting to search and you haven't established your network in advance, or perhaps you're moving into a new industry or profession where you don't have an established network, you have to allow for the networking to take time. And if you're starting from scratch, you can probably expect it to be about 100 days before you really start to see the results, because it'll take you that long to figure out who to network with, make contacts, and start to get enough momentum within that industry or your search to really have a result. It's going to pay off if you just give it time. Number 11, enjoy the trip. A former colleague of mine came home from Disney World, and I asked him how his trip was, and he said it was awful, because on the very first day he began adding up how much money he and his family were spending on drinking Diet Coke instead of enjoying the time at Disney. Job search is much like this because there are so many things to focus on that are negative or get you down. If you allow that to happen, you'll miss a lot of the benefits of the journey. Yes, the destination of getting a job is important, but it is more than that because it's an amazing chance to meet people and to learn. I wrote a blog post called Arguments for Hiring Someone in Job Transition, Skills You Will Not Find on a Resume. And these are all skills that I have seen in myself and other colleagues that we learned by going through job search. You should give it a read. The other thing is the people that you're going to meet. When in your career will you ever take this much time to go out and meet so many new people? You'll be amazed at how gracious people will be at their time. I met the president of the company once, and someone that worked for her came up to me afterwards and said, I've worked for her for 5 years, and I don't think I've ever gotten an hour of her time. You're pretty lucky. And I really was, because she was an amazing woman and had amazing insight into the industry that I was interested in. Try to enjoy the journey as much as you can. And if we ever meet face to face, ask me about my lunch with Jack Nicholson. Number 12, and this is about self-confidence. Businesses have more in common than you think. I found in myself, and have heard it from other candidates, that you get a little nervous about expressing an opinion or an alternative view when you go into a networking meeting or interview. Yes, the companies may have different products, but if you get underneath it, there's generally 2 to 3 things that drive that business. And those 2 to 3 things are probably the same as the other businesses you looked at last week. If you can walk in and you can show confidence by asking questions or offering a different idea because you've done your homework, that sets you apart. Just ask yourself, if you had 2 people and one was very confident and one was not, which one would you hire? So those are the 12 expectations of search, and I hope they've helped you. And once again, this is Mark Richards, creator of CandidatesChair.com. Thanks for visiting the site, and good luck today.